So you've probably heard the word Dhamma thrown around in a religious context, right? Maybe you instantly associate it with monks or ancient, quiet temples. Well, today we are completely reframing that. Welcome to This Explainer. We're going to look at Dhamma not as some rigid doctrine or an inherited set of dogmas, but as a universal science of the mind. It's a practical, living reality that absolutely anyone, and I mean anyone, can investigate and practice. I mean, think about it. What if spirituality was a science? Usually when we hear the phrase spiritual path, we picture blind belief, reading ancient texts, and just accepting things because some authority figure told us to. But what if the path to actually understanding ourselves was based on direct observation? What if it required the exact same rigorous experiential testing as, say, chemistry or physics? That is the core paradigm shift we're diving into today. Let's start with Section 1, not just a religion. You know, religious traditions have obviously played a massive role in shaping human civilization. They offer incredible ethical guidance, for sure. But they do often lean heavily on belief, rituals, dogma, and revelation from a prophet or scripture. Dhamma, it operates entirely differently. It is all about active investigation, direct experience, and really understanding the fundamental nature of reality. It's not about what you blindly believe. It's about what you can directly observe to be true in your own life. So, breaking it down, the word Dhamma, or Dharma in Sanskrit, fundamentally refers to the nature of things and the actual path by which that nature can be understood. The Buddha didn't just hand down Dhamma as a set of arbitrary commandments for you to take on pure faith. Nope. Instead, he presented it as an experiential reality. It's something for you to investigate directly for yourself. Moving on to Section 2, Discovering the Universal Laws. Think about this quote for a second. Gravity existed before Newton described it. It's so true, isn't it? An apple would have hit you on the head with or without Sir Isaac Newton's equations. He didn't invent gravity. He just observed the natural world and put words to the laws governing it. And honestly, the Buddha's role can be understood in that exact same way. He didn't create impermanence or causality or suffering. He literally operated like a scientist. He investigated the human condition and clearly articulated the universal patterns of how our suffering arises, and most importantly, how it can actually stop. So what were these big discoveries? Well, the first major one is anicca, or impermanence. This is the conditioned reality that absolutely everything changes. It's just an unavoidable law of nature. And you can test this in your own life right now. I mean, our thoughts arise and disappear. Feelings come and go. Our bodies age, our relationships evolve, and yeah, even your shiny new smartphone is eventually going to be obsolete. Even our most profound states of happiness are totally impermanent. Nothing stays exactly the same. Which brings us to the second fundamental discovery, dukkha, meaning suffering or unsatisfactoriness. Now, suffering isn't some sort of cosmic punishment. It arises completely naturally when our minds cling to things that are changing. We basically demand permanence from a world that is inherently impermanent. Whenever we want things to stay the exact same forever, whether that's our youth, our joy, or our comfortable circumstances, and then they inevitably change, we suffer. It's just a simple, observable law of cause and effect. Let's look at Section 3, Inside the Human Mind. Now, Dhamma looks directly at the internal machinery of our own minds. Because human suffering isn't just caused by external events. It's profoundly shaped by how our minds react to those events. Two people can go through the exact same situation and react completely differently, all based on their own expectations and fears. The Buddha identified three fundamental forces that disturb the mind. Greed, which is when a simple desire hardens into rigid attachment. Hatred, when a basic dislike turns into intense aversion. And delusion, which is basically the ignorance that blocks us from seeing reality clearly as it actually is. Because of this internal machinery, the whole approach of Dhamma is always look and see instead of believe this. The teaching is constantly challenging us to examine our own experience. Like, when anger arises in you, what actually happens to your mind? Does it feel peaceful, or is it totally agitated? When you satisfy a desire, does it permanently satisfy your mind, or does a brand new desire just pop up to take its place right away? You're basically being asked to use your own mind as a laboratory. Which takes us to Section 4, the path to liberation. This right here is the essential journey of the Dhamma. Look, it might start with belief. Maybe you believe the concepts we're talking about in this explainer or something from a book you read. But belief is just the starting point. It's not the destination. To actually progress, you have to move into direct observation of your own mind. That observation, it leads to genuine understanding. Then that lived understanding becomes wisdom. And finally, that wisdom leads to true liberation. It is a highly active participatory journey. So how do you actually make that journey? Well, through a practical discipline. It starts with ethical conduct, acting in ways that reduce harm and mental agitation. That builds a solid foundation for mindfulness, which gives you the space to observe your thoughts and feelings without immediately reacting to them. That observation is then sharpened by meditation. Meditation develops the deep stability, concentration, and clarity you need to look deeply inward. And all of that finally blossoms into wisdom, the ability to truly understand impermanence and the lack of a permanent self. Through this process, absolutely anyone can gradually become far less controlled by their habitual knee-jerk reactions. And finally, Section 5, Beyond Religious Labels. When we look at our shared reality, the laws of cause and effect are just undeniable. Anger causes harm. Cultivating attachment causes anxiety and the fear of loss. On the flip side, cultivating compassion transforms the mind into a state of openness and kindness. And here's the best part. None of these realities require you to be a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Christian, a Muslim, or an atheist. The law of cause and effect simply does not discriminate. I mean, anger doesn't magically become harmless just because the person feeling it belongs to a particular religion. The Dhamma is completely universal because, well, the human experience is universal. We all experience birth, aging, pleasure, pain, uncertainty, and ultimately, death. Every single human being on the planet deals with desire, fear, and loss. We are so often divided by ideologies, nationalities, and religious labels, but Dhamma begins right here, with the raw, unfiltered conditions that unite every single one of us. Because of that, the Dhamma doesn't start by asking, hey, which religion do you belong to, or what label do you carry? Instead, it asks incredibly practical, deeply personal questions like, what is happening in your mind right now? Why are you suffering? What are the actual causes of that suffering, and can those causes be transformed? It is intensely concerned with how you actually live and experience your daily reality. Ultimately, the entire practice boils down to one simple, pretty ruthless metric. Is your suffering actually decreasing? Are you becoming less reactive? Are you less dominated by greed, hatred, and delusion? If you understand that success and failure are impermanent, and that praise and criticism are just changing conditions, you don't become indifferent to life. You actually gain tremendous freedom within it. You can act with deep compassion without being totally consumed by attachment. Observe, understand, practice, realize. Liberation from suffering isn't some prize handed down by an external authority. It's an inside job. It's something you have to realize for yourself by transforming your own mind. The Dhamma is a universal science calling out to be tested in the laboratory of your own life. So I'll leave you with this. What's happening in your mind right this second? Are you reacting or are you observing? The experiment starts now. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.